In 2002, the Oakland Athletics, led by GM Billy Beane and Paul DePodesta, better known as Peter Brandt, would change the game of baseball forever with sabermetrics. And for the past 21 years since that, we've seen teams all around the league try to use sabermetrics to win a World Series. And in fact, some of them have actually been successful. For example, teams like the Kansas City Royals and the Houston Astros. Because of stats like on-base percentage, WRC+, OPS+, and WAR, we've seen several players rise to the top of the league at their positions that would have never gotten that chance pre-sabermetrics era in baseball. We, in fact, are seeing some of the biggest contracts in sports history in baseball being handed out to numerous amounts of players. We've even seen a team and an organization cement themselves as a dynasty because of the era of sabermetrics. And yes, for the next few decades, we will see teams use the holy grail that is sabermetrics to continue their dreams and aspirations and chase of a World Series title or multiple World Series titles. But of course, as we all know, there are some organizations out there that continue to go against the now proverbial grain of following sabermetrics. We will continue to see a few certain teams with big pockets spend numerous amounts of money on one or two main talents on their roster, while the rest of the roster around those few certain key players remains void of actual talent that can help the franchise and organization get to the Fall Classic and perhaps win it. For a certain select few fan bases, there seems to be this constant up and down effect for them and their franchise that they root for. You see, it's like whenever you take a stairway and you build it as high as you can from the ground all the way to the clouds. At either point or end you start at on that stairway, it's going to lead to the same exact place. You're going to end up on the ground. You can start at the base of that staircase and walk yourself all the way up to the very top, and right after that last step, you fall down and end back up on the ground. Or you can start at the very top of that staircase and walk your way all the way back down, and guess what? The ground is right there. First, you start by signing a free agent to a massive, lucrative deal, in which corresponds with getting your franchise's hopes up and your fan base's hopes up for the upcoming season. Then your team performs up to, if not better than the standard that was set in that offseason. They are one of, if not the very best team in all of baseball. Then you make it to the playoffs, your team underperforms, and you get bounced from the playoffs early. Your fan base and your team's optimism is then low, after which the offseason comes around, you sign another big free agent to another big lucrative deal, and the cycle of that rotation continues. With an airport named after a president, a park that's covered with ice half the year, and a wildlife population that's not wanted by many, the Queens of New York are home to one New York Mets baseball team. Mets, I'm sorry. For the better half of my entire life that I've been on this planet, the New York Mets, or Mets, have been one of the very many recurring jokes in Major League Baseball. Now, when they're not losing World Series to the Kansas City Royals, still cannot believe that actually happened. They are busy wasting generational talents like Jacob deGrom's career, along with throwing wazoo amounts of contracts all around the league. And it's been like this for a little bit now. I'm sure that some of my New York Met fans in the comments will tell y'all all about those great signings that front office made. Come on, Met fans, I know y'all remember those wonderful years with Yoenis Cespedes. How about the wonderful Jason Bay? Ooh, or my favorite one, the Francisco Lindor signing. No, but with all jokes aside, Mets fans, how does it get to the point where your front office lets the greatest glove side pitcher of all time walk into free agency to a team that's now paying him $46 million a year, and y'all go out and get the second best pitcher in all of baseball in Justin Verlander? And this is no shade to Justin. He was a phenomenal pitcher and he still is. But how do you let it get to the point in your franchise where you replace the best pitcher in baseball? And it's not close because it's Jacob deGrom in his own stratosphere and everybody else below him. And I mean no disrespect to any other pitchers in the league. It's just that's how good deGrom is, that y'all let him walk away in free agency. I do not get that. Do not worry, Mets fans. Your front office has got it covered. We're going to spend $500 million every single year on guys like Francisco Lindor, Pete Alonso, Justin Verlander, Brandon Nimmo for $186 million. Is that a typo? Oh no, I guess it's not a typo. Well, Mets, y'all got fleeced yet again. Don't get me wrong, Brandon Nimmo is a great player, but I don't think he's worth $186 million. I'm sure the Mets front office has a plan in mind. Oh, would you look at that? It looks like Carlos Correa is going to the San Francisco Giants. Holy... Now, I'm sure the New York Mets and their front office have learned from their mistakes of this past season by not throwing gobs of money at very valuable but random talents. Oh dear God, when in doubt, $500 billion it out. Oh, Mets, y'all never fail to disappoint me. Keep in mind, the Mets spent a total of $263 million last year in 2022 on their entire payroll, and that netted them an astounding, astonishing, breathtaking, mind-blowing one playoff win. And that playoff win came off the back of their ace, studded star pitcher, and the best pitcher on the planet, Jacob deGrom. Other than that, they got shelled in the playoffs. This is a good first case in point of why spending this much on a team and throwing out what a lot of New York people say, gabbity-goo, amount of money at random players. LA, the city of beaches, Hollywood, and choking. I'm not just talking the adult film industry here, people. With the biggest payroll in baseball just north of $265 million, it was World Series or bust for the Dodgers. As they rolled through the regular season smoking every team on their way to the best record in all of baseball, along with the best offense, it would have been a travesty had they not made it to the World Series. And in fact, let's just see how far the Dodgers made it in the 2022 playoffs.
One strike away. Hader to Freeman. He struck it out! For the first time in 24 years, the San Diego Padres are headed to the National League Championship Series.
Oh, look at him choke! Look at him suffer!
Oh dear God, again? With choking that would have made Lisa Ann blush, the Dodgers yet again failed to capitalize on another historic season. And what's even funnier about the whole choke job is the fact that it wasn't just to any team, but their little brother that they've been kicking the proverbial asses of in the Padres for the past decade. With 4 guys on your payroll, Los Angeles Dodgers making over $20 million plus a year, you couldn't muster more than one measly win against one of the baseball teams you've been kicking the baseballs out of for the past decade. Don't get me wrong, for the past 12, 13 years, the Dodgers have been one of the most consistent franchises in baseball. But when you've made 3 World Series in 13 years and only won a single World Series, and that was off the back of a shortened 60-game regular season in which many teams weren't even fully stretched out, you can't be called nothing short of a choker. And it's not going to get any easier for LA either. Trey Turner left and a numerous amounts of other skilled position players departed from their team this offseason. The health of their rotation is being questioned right now, and there are a few dark voids in that lineup of theirs. They also didn't do very much in this year's free agency. Ah yes, the New York Yankees, the Dallas Cowboys of MLB baseball. With a deep, rich history of some of the greatest players of all time and the most championships in sports, it also helps to give kudos to the Yankees that they haven't won a championship in over a decade, just like a team in Dallas that I know of. Except for theirs has been 2 decades. Despite the ass amount of money that they spend every single year on their payroll to try to get back to the Fall Classic and win it, there just always seems to be one team in particular, I cannot put my eye on it, seems to stop them every single time they get on a roll. 2015, 2017, 2019, 2022, that list goes on and on and on. Besides being the Houston Astros punching bag for the better half of almost a decade, the Yankees were one of the first teams in Major League Baseball history with 3 guys making $300 million plus on their payroll. Giancarlo Stanton, Garrett Cole, and now Aaron Judge. Yet the Yankees, like as usual, will probably end up fading out to the Astros in the October Invitational Houston Classic. After getting their faces ran through the mud in the ALCS in 2022, the New York Yankees went into the offseason knowing that they had to make some certain roster changes in order to be able to compete with the Houston Astros. And what did they do, that you ask? Well, let's just look. The addition of Carlos Rodon to the starting rotation to make them one of the top rotations in the entire league to complement an already dangerous bullpen. And with the surplus of cash that's spent on their lineup, the only limit were the clouds for how much talent the Yankees could bring in this offseason. And those names that you asked that they brought in, well, I got them written down right here for you. And they are as follows. What the? The New York Yankees, as per usual, trolled us and their fans and their organization. Instead of making improvements, they just added the same guys back to the roster, bringing back Anthony Rizzo, first baseman, for them, and re-signing Aaron Judge to a $300 million plus year contract. They've added next to nothing to the roster to improve it. And with most of the big-name free agents already off the board, one can say, unless they get somebody via trade, they are right back in the same spot that they were just 2 months earlier. Whenever we talk about teams winning the World Series in Major League Baseball nowadays, it's usually because they don't blow out their spending and their payroll on just a few guys on their roster. They follow the plan of sabermetrics. Their front office is not reactive, they're wise, and they're intellectual. They understand the game and the nuances, And the GMs and ownership don't surround themselves with kiss asses and yes men. Teams like the Braves, teams like the Astros, these teams that are built for the long haul, their front offices are built for the long haul. Their scouting, drafting, and developing are top of the line. That's why you see these teams year in and year out able to compete for World Series championships, because they do baseball the right way and the best way. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Do you all agree with me? Do y'all not agree with me on my take on this? Let me know in the comment section down below. And as per usual, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you are new, because I have plenty more baseball content like this. And I'll see you all in the next one. Adios, mis amigos, and Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you all. Love you all.